That hurts.
Let me see what
So while you guys were.
Okay, it is 6 o'clock. We will call this July 1st city council meeting order. If you will please rise and join me for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Clerk Treasurer Price, will you please call roll? Here.
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 More.
Here. Present.
I haven't gotten anything from Cody, so.
I think he's sick.
Oh, was I?
Yeah.
All right. Minutes of the June 3rd meeting have been presented for review. Are there any additions, corrections, or subtractions? Anyone?
Look good, me?
All right.
None?
Motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All right. I have a motion and a second to approve the June 3rd common council meeting minutes. All in favor of approving, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, so normally with this time, we ask if we want to enter the department head reports or discuss them. Tonight, you guys requested that they be present, which they are. So we'll have them give us a brief summary of where you're at with your department and anything that you think the council needs to know. So we'll start with, how about Mr. Van Sickle?
Been a while.
Yes,
Evening. Just give you an update on the clarifier project. Work began in September of last year. Weather and some flooding backed up most of the work. Concrete work, the flow splitter box, sounds like a small thing, but it's a big building. Flow splitter box has been poured. Clarifier walls are all poured. Inner trough is poured. Piping, they originally had to move our incoming line from the city. So they had to go around the clarifier sits and go in, I guess, in between if there's a fourth clarifier in the future. The drain lines have been installed to the inlet lift station. Line has been run to the chlorine contact tank. That's where the effluent will be going. Right now they're waiting on equipment. There's still some concrete work to do. They gotta get some touch ups of the concrete. I was out there a little bit ago with a couple of engineers. And there's some spaces where there's some concrete that has come off. So I'm not sure how they're gonna do it. They've got epoxy in there right now. But they need to get a couple inches out. So we'll see. They took pictures. They're gonna be talking with them. Any questions on the new clarifier? So in addition to that, when we do the tie-ins, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we converted an old aeration tank into a clarifier. Used it for a week and worked perfect. So we had to do that again because the curtains got tore up through the wind and the hangers. So we had that converted again. You probably see it come in Fluid Technologies.
Yeah.
Did the work. So that's where that claim came from. No. I've been for a while, so you want to ask me any questions?
Any idea, was it honeycomb on the concrete that just backed off?
It's on the bottom, Danny, maybe this high up, and it exposed some of the rebar. A couple places like this. I don't know why it came on. It might have been probably the forms. They're working on that.
Any other questions for Superintendent Van Sickle? Nope. Okay. Thank you. And I send them the progress reports too, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, keep,
they said we're about 60%.
okay, very good. How about Superintendent Myers, the Water Department? He loves getting in front of people.
Couple things I didn't put on the report, you guys all have the report. CCRs were delivered. There's some page of violations on there. We didn't have any violations. I did make me put them in there because the lab failed to report the results to IDEM in a timely fashion. Union Street and Indiana Street water project's done. They replaced the 60-some meter pits, and probably 40 to 50 of them on galvanized lines. Probably got that in them. Project get done. We pumped 31.24 million gallons last month. We're still down a guy, we're looking to hire a guy. Little picture telling us. You see, we had 271 locations last month. With all the corn companies there. Take a long time. Yeah. Any questions?
All right. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
How about Superintendent Lyons, the Street Department?
I hadn't written a report, so I don't even know what's on it. Basically, so you need to get one as three. That is actually finally done. Back to its third seat. Dash three, which is the street. Scratching, they're about to have their work done on the answer. Starting on before the call. That's box. Road contracted with. Third issue. Their names. Their progress meeting this morning, they that make it, I'm not sure how, but I think it be positive. They will make. Regardless of progressing. Our business on this way the next. So other than CCMG, building's about to complete, being close. Very nice busy. Starting the process to get some stuff moved over, there's still some outstanding items they gotta take care of. Next day, so all that stuff taken care of. Other than those items, other than us just doing what we do on a daily basis, we can parks, streets. Some utility cuts today. Busy. And great on down the man also.
Well, you guys are doing great.
Yep, they set up a lot of, for the extra, the Main Street, the old settlers are the ones that set out the cones and all that, so they're there and doing a good job.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Chief Lamar, you want to go, and then we'll go with Mr. Nagel.
We have roll out body cameras for all officers. We'll need to buy one additional. Hopefully we'll be fully staffed soon between Officer Wilson being out. And have a spot open now that Wilson's back, and we have additional offer out, like slot contract for the body camera. I believe our bullet resistant windshields came in today with the reimbursable jack grant. Almost about 1,000 pounds. And it's supposed to arrive at the glass company today. They're even training to install, so we thought it was hard to get a bullet resistant windshield. There's 6 through the grant, then one additional Duke Energy gave us a grant for $33 million to provide additional windshield.
We have in-car cameras that make our body cameras here ready to go, but since they mount the way field, we had to wait until once those are installed. Axon will come and install in-car cameras, and the in-car cameras have license plate recognition technology. What we've seen for stolen vehicles and the plates and everything like that. Other than that, all new 7 cars are on the street and in service. With the exception of Wilson's, and now having been back this week, that car will be going as well. So other than that, I think that's all I've got.
And for those of you that were not here for the Board of Works, was you here? Yep, yep. So you want to briefly, our return officer today?
So Officer Wilson was injured September 11, 2023. He's been off 295 days. Went through, he had 11 breaks in his arm, he had multiple surgeries. He was cleared to return. Came back this morning and shot a perfect score in firearms, 100 out of 100. So he's back, which is super exciting. We gave him the Medal of Valor in the last meeting. And then also from the last meeting, we've asked for donations for stuffed animals and blankets. Delphi really showed up. People from outside of Delphi showed up. We even had to go to Indianapolis to accept some donations. So stop by the conference room on your way out. You'll see that the table's covered in donations that we've received. So when to lay them out and show kind of what the community's done for us, and we're super appreciative of it.
Awesome.
Definitely a bunch. Fills up the room. So thank you for your efforts. And all right, Mr. Nagel from Delphi Airport.
I'm gonna introduce myself a little more because we're kind of out of sight.
Sure.
of mind, nobody knows who
Absolutely.
we are. I'm Ed Nagel. I am the part-time manager of Delphi Airport. Be 6 years in August, which really surprised me. I retired after 43 years at Tri-State University. Ran a department there for 20 of them years. Served on the Angola Common Council for 28 years. So I know what you're going through. Worked for the county after I retired for a short time doing weights and measures for Subin County. Came down here. Met Jason Hart and said he was getting ready to graduate and they needed a manager. Said 10 to 15 hours a week. I was doing my hat and been here ever since. Now, the other thing I want to do is, as in the last 6 years, they're pretty well determined. Nobody knows how the city got the airport. It isn't a city airport. It was started in 1969 by Wayne Pearson and Louis Brubaker. They donated 18.8 acres of farmland on either side of what's now the runway, and you're welcome to come out there. I'll give you a ride up and down the runway. I did the mayor here. Funds for the project were provided by City Council of $15,000. We bought an airport for $15,000. Of course, that was back in
So you couldn't
1969.
do that today.
In 1970, administration building was built and a hangar to house 2 planes. Currently, we can house 27. I'm sorry, 23. We actually have 27 out there. And of course, at that time in 1970, the airport was donated to the city of Delphi. Surprising enough, in November of 1980, after several years of deterioration, Mayor Wayne Van Sickle, I don't know if any of you remember him, I don't, closed the airport. And he did appoint a committee to see if they could get it going and resurrect it. It should just be abandoned and forgotten. Brian Sturm lived down in that area, came along in 1981, went into business for himself, operated the airport as a fixed base operator. You own the airport. He ran it, not as a manager, but actually ran a business there. Doing flight construction and repairs, everything in that. Installed runway lights at that time, remodeling, did some remodeling on the building. Grant of $355,000 was obtained from the National Airways System. Going back here to some histories, it took me a while to run all this down. To resurface the runway, and that was done in 1985. through a series of grants, several projects have gone and it's been continuously upgraded. Hangars for rent, for storage of aircraft have been built. We do, like I say, have basically 27 airplanes out there, 23 hangars. A couple of them are large enough to accommodate more than one plane. Runway's been lengthened, it's 4,001 feet, 60 foot wide. Currently, 5 of the hangars are city owned, 4 of them are privately owned. Now, the privately owned ones are on most of them are on a 20-year lease. At the end of the lease, they revert to the city. Got everything from ultralight airplanes all the way to the light twins. We sell between 5,000 and 6,000 gallons of aviation fuel a year. We have, because of a work on a master plan, have to have an airport count system. And we do have about 6,000 operations a year. So it's, in terms of airports in a 50-mile radius, it's not a small airport. It's kind of in a medium-sized airport there, the big one being, of course, Lafayette. Some recently completed projects is a fuel farm. We can now store 12,000 gallons of aviation gas, which would be a 2-year supply. So we don't do that because of the price fluctuations. You bought it, we got stuck buying. When they put the tank in, we had to buy 4,000 gallons in order to test the tank. Well, we had to have it now, and the price was the highest it was. We had the highest it had been, and since then has come down. So we really worked through that. It took us quite a while to get rid of that fuel. People go other places to buy fuel. We managed to get through it. With the addition of that, about that 12,000 gallon tank, we were able then to get rid of our underground tank. So we have no underground storage tanks out there, which is kind of nice. Now, things that are going on right now, the FAA has required that we do a master plan update. The last master plan on file with the FAA was done in 1989. It's been penciled updated, and they finally said enough. And so that's what is currently being worked on, is a master plan for the airport. We can get our airplane count because of that. The FAA is actually paying for that as part of that master plan. So it's coming along pretty good. After the master plan is done, the next item on the list is we're going to build a parallel taxiway. Currently, aircraft have to taxi down the main runway. If they're taking off from the other end, have to taxi the full length of the runway. So there's some safety issues there. So that is the next thing. Construction of a new terminal building is on the table. Probably construction of some additional hangars for storage. Any FAA grant we get, the FAA will pay 90% of it. State of Indiana pays 5%, the city pays 5%. So when you look at $1 million grant, it's not costing you $1 million. So we seem to continually be growing. I was surprised as we've got counts going, just how much traffic we do have through there. We've recently completed instrument approaches. So we have instrument, we can land in that airport when the ceiling is 400 feet and visibility is 1 mile. So that's about just a little bit worse than Lafayette. Lafayette, I think, is about 300. And I have been in the 3-4. Questions? Come on out. I'll give you a tour. You can ride up and down the 4,000 foot runway at any speed you want. Where's more?
Pretty good person.
Yes.
What does it take to land a normal businessman jet? How many people? Can you land over?
We can land business jets in there. We have the length. The problem we have is insurance companies.
Insurance companies generally require, they. I don't know if they say they generally require, but they generally want 5,000 foot. So that would get. They come in there, businesses, we get turboprops in there regularly. Do some ag operations out of there, doing one not too long ago. I say, come on out, we'll give you a tour of the airport.
Any other questions for Mr. Nagel? Nope. Okay, I believe that's all our depart. JT, you want to give something real quick?
Sure, I may have something to say. No, just want to share so project wise, Broadway broadband, need to work on that city fiber project, point of contact. Phase 1 went live, they're currently working on phase 2. So I'll continue to work with them, communicate with them as we move this process along. Encourage people, there's some postcards back here. Stop by their office next to Stonehouse, find out where when your address when it will happen, get information on the program. We also, with the Parks Board, work closely with them, secured some grant funding for a lot of the purchase of movies in the park. And so actually tomorrow night at the Parks Board meeting, we'll have a discussion on that, on getting the movie plan. We're working closely with the Delphi Library on the movie. So it's exciting to secure grant funding for a large portion of that project to be able to have movies in the park back here in the parks. We've got some other park projects on the horizon. I'm looking at some grant opportunities to secure to help fund those. Of course, we did that Parks Master Plan, which we got approved through DNR. So now having that plan, that roadmap, we can start to look at some other projects. But again, there's grant resources out there. So looking for that. I'm working with Mr. Smith and Mr. Stanley on the Veterans Memorial Plaza project, and so that'll be underway. Also today, met with Mr. McCain on the Bicentennial Monument project. So I'll work closely with him, and then with the other Mr. McCain and Mr. Tetrault. I met with them last week at the canal on a canal project of working through the permitting. And on the permitting, someone's building a fence in Delphi. Speak with me. I come out, I also coordinate with our utilities to make sure where that fence is installed and just to make sure all the logistics are there. Also downtown businesses on the sign permits that also comes through on the desk, and make sure that it matches our zoning ordinance and requirements. Right of way permitting, when that comes in, I coordinate with our technical advisory committee TAC on getting meetings scheduled. We now have design standards here in the city. We have expectations established, and we want to make sure that as this work's going on there in the right of way, we're not conflicting with infrastructure. So I also coordinate setting those TAC meetings so we all can be on the same page with projects. Obviously, our Delphi Main Street, still championing that through with our board of directors. As you all recall, we recognize as being an aspiring Main Street program. So we're looking to advance to that level 2. And so I hope to have some more news on that in 2025. Our Main Street continues the facade program through the design committee, obviously promotions through the various events that Main Street has, which includes Old Settlers, Trunk or Treat, Santa on the Square, the Easter egg hunt, and then of course the Do It Delphi Market. Also, again, I mentioned the facade program, working with businesses through that process. We're having bi-weekly meetings right now in the interurban to continue to work with that project and its advancement. They're still planning to be leasing by fall of this year. Already have a significant number on the waiting list, already have some signatures for leases set up at the interurban. Also the Mountain Estates, we work closely with city, the Economic Development Corporation, holding bi-weekly meetings on that project to get some dirt moving for that, ideally yet this year. I mentioned coordinating TAC meetings, some of the permitting. We do also the code enforcement between mayor and we still coordinate some of the police also, but making sure that those codes are being followed. Grass, rank vegetation, not just weeds. I think I can say that in my sleep. Because we are still addressing that with property owners, and of course the junk vehicles and things like that. Still working with that. Make My Move, which is a group we're working with that's attracting. They've got a profile out there for Delphi. We're looking to attract out-of-state residents to Delphi. They're working with many communities, but they did recently finish the Delphi video and have been here in the city. Did some video footage, so that video should be posted soon to again get some more attraction, some more promotional effort for the city to Should track that. I still do a monthly radio show, first Wednesday of the month. They're at Wilo Radio in Frankfurt. You can get tuned in and I talk about city projects, city initiatives, events going on, talk about the organizations, whether it's Main Street or the Opera House or the canal. And lastly, then would be our Operation Caring Community Cleanup, something that we got set up this year. We're working closely with our Rotary and Delphi Main Street. We had the spring session, which we went out, picked up loose trash. So if anyone wants to volunteer for that, reach out to me here at the city building. But certainly Operation Caring Community Cleanup, it's something we all need. Sadly, there was a road that we worked on literally within a week. It's back. And so certainly that's a way, again, to keep our community clean. We have a beautiful community, but certainly appreciate the efforts of our Main Street and our Delphi Rotary. Questions?
No,
So what you cleaned is already back.
Yes, on one street, yes. I will say the square still looks great. I think a large part of that is Aaron and his crew maintaining that. Our Main Street, we're on the square, but we were out on
Hamilton Street.
yeah, we were out on Hamilton Street and literally within probably a week and a half.
Yeah.
It was back. So, but again, we got a September date plan, so I'll coordinate that.
Is it
work.
mostly by the ballpark?
Actually, it's on up the hill as you go towards, yes, towards the cemetery.
So by the ballpark
no,
or past it?
past it
Okay.
towards going towards the Heartland. There's a whole
Okay.
bag of trash and
So we have a date
Scattered.
set, September the 24th, 5:45 PM. We'll meet at the gazebo. I've got the bags, you bring the gloves. We'll pick up some trash for that Operation Caring Community Cleanup.
Okay.
Anything else? Thank you.
okay, thank you, JT. All right. Move on to other business. We have Julia Leahy here to discuss the revolving loan fund. Give us an update on that.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So last year, the council had approved $30,000 to be used for a revolving loan fund. And I do have some brochures, and I don't know if any of you know about the program, but we, the chamber had received 2 rounds of USDA grants that we are able to revolve these loans, the 3% loans, and they have to be there are certain specifications that they have to meet. We have a lot of USDA guidelines we have to follow. So last year's council said, why don't we specifically set aside 30,000 and let you do it just for Delphi businesses? So I wanted to report, we do have 2 active loans, recent. Both of them were each $10,000 and they are making their payments. So that is going well. We still have 10,000 left in that balance. So I know it's, you're approaching budget time soon. It is a great program with a 1 loan. He was able to buy equipment and hire a new employee. So he added a particular employee. The other one has more equipment. They've expanded their business to help to add more as well. So we feel like it's working. They do get a lot of counseling through our business planning folks, just to make sure they're on the right track. But it is not for a brand new business. So we have had somebody new approach us, and unfortunately, he just didn't qualify. So we just want to make sure they're set up to succeed is the whole point. So yeah, right now we have 2 active loans, 10,000 each, and we still have 10 in the account, and hope you'll consider it again for next time. City limits, Marion helped write the MOU, so we have very strict guidelines on who we can lend that to. We have an active loan committee that involves a CPA, a banker, and an insurance agent, and they're pretty thorough about making sure that it's a good fit. So far, all of the other loans that we've done through the USDA, nobody has defaulted, everything's been good, so. Anyway, assume that's good. So things are going well. I just wanted to at least let you know that's where we're at. We will do a loan for 5, but that was the minimum, so. Just wanted to get the word out there. If there are any Delphi businesses looking to expand, need to buy some equipment, we do have some funding for them. So 3% interest can't hardly beat that. So, any questions or thoughts? I believe it was 30,000 that came out of edit, if I'm not
Yep,
mistaken.
it was.
Yeah, Spencer might remember.
Yep.
Go well.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you for the update. Appreciate it.
and if you haven't saved the date, August 24th is Faith Festival.
Which we will revisit next month at
Yep.
the Board of Works, yeah. Okay, so that's kind of your update on the department heads. And Julius, we'll move on to unfinished business. In your packets, you have Proposed ordinance 2024-12, an ordinance to amend chapter 77 of the city code of ordinances entitled utility terrain vehicles and golf carts. We passed first reading on June 3rd. So is there a motion to approve ordinance 2024-12 on second reading?
So moved.
Denny?
Yeah.
I have a motion and a second discussion. This is just a refresher memory on this. Julie deals with the citizens that come in and want to renew their permit, and the way that it was set up, they essentially would have to pay twice, which we have not made them do, but it's not a full fiscal year from January to December 31st. So that's what this would change, making it a lot easier for the clerk's office and certainly a lot easier for the citizens to know that they just need to come in January and renew it. And like Julie spoke of in the Board of Works meeting, this is picking up. So it's a good thing that people are taking advantage of it, and seems to be going well. So we're going to work on some maps to identify where they can and cannot be driven. But other than that, I haven't yet to get a complaint yet. So that's kind of touching on that particular change within that ordinance.
My neighborhood, they really should.
Yep. Yeah, and I'll work on getting something out on social media at some point, but that's just got to find time to do that. So any other discussion for ordinance number 2024-12? Nope. All right. I have a motion and a second. Is there a motion to approve ordinance 2024-12 on second reading titled Delphi Code of Ordinances, Utility Terrain Vehicles and Golf Carts regarding the period of access?
So moved.
We already had a motion on the table. It's just,
I guess we do. All right. No more discussion. I just wanted to repeat it because everybody's so comfortable in here and it's not hot. So, all right. All he's got a coat on. All in favor of approving proposed ordinance 2024-12 on second reading, an ordinance to amend chapter 77 of the city code of ordinances entitled utility terrain vehicles and golf carts regarding the period of access, signify by stating aye. Opposed? Motion carries on second reading. All right, very good. Next item of business is going to be proposed ordinance 2024-13. An ordinance amending ordinance 2023-11, establishing salaries for elected officials and appointees of the city of Delphi for calendar year 2024. Is there a motion to approve on second reading?
So moved.
I have a motion by Spencer Kingery,
I'll second.
Aaron Jabril. I have a motion, a second. Yeah, so we discussed the salary, and we can start there and see what bites we get. Obviously, we looked at different communities, see where we was at with it, and if we don't get any interest, then certainly we'll revisit. But it's something that JT, Chief Lamar, and myself deal with every single day, every day. And even when we're not at the city building, there's calls coming in. There's people that out on the streets that are asking, where are we at? What are we doing with this? We need, so again, that's where we're at. I haven't posted it yet. I wanted to wait till we got to a certain point to put it out there, but it's going to be posted on social media and probably Indeed here pretty soon. So any further discussion on ordinance 2024-13? No? All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving ordinance 2024-13 on second reading? An ordinance amending 2023-11, establishing salaries for elected officials and appointees of the city of Delphi for calendar year 2024, signified by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Make a motion, we pass it on third and final reading.
I have a motion to approve proposed ordinance 2024-13 on third and final reading. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Any discussion other than what I just spoke of, that this is something We need to get it going, and Chief Lamar's done a good job of getting things. Hopefully, once it's finalized, we can get going with it. So any other questions, discussion? All right. I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2024-13 on third and final reading. All in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you, guys.
I'll see when we get that advertised.
We have a short week, but I'm gonna try to get, the problem with Indeed right now is the administration between Nita had it set up and getting it changed to where I can actually start doing things. Indeed is kind of like Google. They're a very large organization. It's hard to get to the right person to get the
Someone to
account.
talk to.
Yeah, so it's been a challenge, but I'll keep working on it, and I'll get on social media, see if we can get any interest in that, and comment and whatever route we need to get it out there and let people know, and hopefully get some applicants. So. Okay, very good. Next item of business is going to be residential development update with Jake Adams, which I believe is here, and myself. So if you've seen the comment the last 2 weeks, we published a request for proposals, qualifications for utility and infrastructure for Bowen. Jake, you want to kind of give the council an update of where we are on this very extensive project. There's a lot to it, so.
I'll kind of go back to appreciate the council's foresight in establishing a residential development fund. And that is to meet one of the main priorities to get housing starts here in the community. And so since then, we've taken that work and really just tried to find a good developer, home builder that's a good fit for the community. And we spent the last few years doing that. Obviously with the Ironman properties, it's fairly obvious they're a respectable outfit, they're fit for the community. And so just to segue, we found a developer and a home builder to go ahead and build out Bowen Estate, the residential development first phase, 47 units. And so with that RFP that was issued, it was to seek a developer to come in and help partner with the city of Delphi in getting that project complete. And so with that, the RFP would include funding from the residential development fund that was committed, should be $1 million left. And then with that, we were able to go and secure an additional $625,000 to match with the city's funds. So just as we did with Ironman Properties, we went and got $1.4 million to match dollar for dollar for the city's investment. This time we were able to secure $625,000 to match the city's investment. So our goal is to maximize what you guys are putting in to support the project, and we've been successful in doing that with both these projects.
You want to tell them how we got the 625 from the trail?
Yeah, so originally the $625,000 that was committed to the city of Delphi for a project was for trails, the Carrollton Hill or the Carrollton Road trailhead. Due to the fact that in the development world, as maybe some of you know, time is money, and the housing project needed to really get started, or we were going to end up losing the developer and the home builder. And Wax Homes is one of the best home builders in the region. They can do scale. They do a good job. They're respected. And so we advised the city and the mayor to transfer the $625,000 that was going to be scheduled for the trails and transfer that over to the housing project for a match, so that we can get this thing started sooner, and we don't have to restart the process if we want to find another home builder and get this whole agreement together. So that's how we were able to land on $625,000. It was money that's already been allocated for the city of Delphi. And so we're just going to apply it towards, and that has now been approved by the state of Indiana. Ernst Young, which is basically did an economic analysis of it to ensure that it could be worth their investment too. And so that's where we're at with the RFQ.
Yeah, there's a lot of work behind the READY program, and there was a learning curve for, I believe, the entire state. The READY 1 process, now READY 2 it's in progress, and I think the challenges that we're seeing every aspect of READY 1 have been, we'd say tweaked, but adjusted to make this process to where it's more fluid, more, I don't know, it's moving along a lot better than it did Ready One.
The state's now coming along beside communities that are making public investments. So no longer are your public investments going just your dollars and no one else's. And so the state has kind of developed a program that allows us to say, as economic developers, do you have cities and towns or counties that are investing in infrastructure, housing, childcare, all of the priorities that our communities are asking from us? And we say, well, sure, they've residential development fund, how much? And then we pursue that through an application process. The mayor and myself and Commissioner Brown sit on a regional board of directors, and that regional board is consisted of Mayor Wazorski, Mayor Easter, Commissioner Murtaugh, Mayor Barton from Crawfordsville, Mayor Sims from Monticello, Mayor Crane from Attica, and the corresponding commissioners as well. So we all collaborate. Our goal is to go and get resources for our communities, and that's how this is kind of parlayed. I'll tell you, Julie takes the brunt of most of this. So I can tell you that even with Ready One and Ironman Properties trying, really the most important part of this is finding the right team. Because without the right team and the right people in place, cities and towns can't appropriate funds correctly. The reimbursement schedules are messed up, and it can get us really behind. But the Ironman and Greg Martz and the development team with that has been phenomenal, and we feel like we're going to be able to present a good project for the city of Delphi for this housing, single family housing.
Yeah. When I proposed this, the 625,000 instead of utilizing it for the trail for this, the regional board was, they were all on board. It was unanimous, and they understand our goal. They supported the development, like a lot of small communities are facing that challenge. So that was a warming welcome to the board, and it was nice to see that they agreed and they've worked along with this, the hiccups that every community faces through the Ready program. So again, the BOT, there's a lot of moving pieces behind this whole massive scale of things that go involved into these projects. So it's been a learning curve every single day. Jake's been huge. The whole board down in Lafayette is funneling my questions daily. So there's a lot to it. But at the end of the day, obviously we're in a need for housing. So instead of having, not that the trail's canceled completely, but I thought this was a more important project that we need to focus on with all the work that was previously done. So the RFPQ or paper, yeah. So that was in the paper twice, which is required. The deadline was last Wednesday for proposals, I believe. Yes, last Wednesday. So we did receive them, and so now the next move will be holding a special meeting to award that BOT contract. So with that being said, there's timeframes for each step of this that we had to meet with Indiana code, so on and so forth. So the next date that we can get this to make sure that it gets into the paper and gets publicly advertised with a public hearing, be requesting that the council have a special meeting for July 15th. Guys can check your calendar, see if you're available for that. That would be for the awarding the BOT contract.
Same time, same location.
What's best for you guys? I mean, I didn't know
I'm gonna be in office.
okay.
Will it be in town?
It's here. Yeah,
That's what I
yeah,
figured.
just
Yeah,
a
I'm good.
special meeting. That'll be the only thing that's on the docket. It's a
Yep.
public hearing.
I just need evening like this.
So 6 o'clock work for you? 6 o'clock work for you, Doyle? You'll be gone? Denny, you good?
Good.
And I'll see what Cody's availability is, so. Okay, is there a motion to approve the special meeting date of July 15th? For the awarding of my official language, is it RFPQ? RFPQ BOT contract. So we got Danny Myers. Is there a second? Well, thank you. Any further discussion on the special meeting set for July 15th at 6 o'clock PM? Go ahead.
If you have any questions about the project, the plat has been approved. by the city, phase one. So that's what worked. I mean, that's the same developer, same, housing division, same subdivision.
This is up there on, Bowen Estates from the hill.
Correct.
They changed the entrance for the construction, that was a big thing.
So what we did was, there's still gonna be the entrance that goes to Riley, that's gonna be permanent. Construction entrance is gonna be off of Prince William.
Okay, that was the big thing.
Yeah.
Yes, well, that was a battle itself, and we didn't feel that traffic needed to be going down the road's not wide enough, and that's just a lot of additional traffic on a road that's already skinny, so it took some work, but we got it worked to where construction entrance only will be off Prince William. Eventually, I think phase 3, that's scheduled to be a permanent road anyway. So the long-term goal is to get the construction entrance to where that permanent road will be, and then hopefully get that road finished sooner than phase 3 to where the people can utilize. Right now, the response for Riley Meadows is one way in, one way out, which that's presents a danger to responders, to the citizens up there. So that's the long-term goal, is to get that road permanent and then proceed into phase 2 and 3. So obviously there's some work to do on that, but this will be for construction traffic only. So that's been discussed now for 6 months, and they understand it. It took some work, but so good question, Doyle. Okay.
Just like commend y'all for making that happen. Everybody that was involved in that for saving that. It was good work.
Appreciate that. There's a lot of moving parts to it. I go home, my head's still spinning. So Marion takes the 300 questions daily, and she does a great job answering. Jake, calling him all hours of the night, he's been huge. So appreciate all the help. So
Y'all for saving.
any further discussion on we have a motion and a second for the July 15th special meeting at 6:00 PM. Hearing none, all in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Jake.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to proposed resolution 2024-12, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Delphi approving the interlocal agreement between the City of Delphi and Carroll County, Indiana concerning floodplain management. This has been brought to you guys a few times now. We are thankfully to the finish line. Several dates with FEMA, DNR, different municipalities. The commissioners approved it last Monday at their commissioners meeting, and now it's going to be in the hands of the Delphi Common Council. So any questions? Well, let's see. Is there a motion to approve resolution 2024-12?
So moved.
All right, discussion. No, this has been something we've kind of tossed around now for 6 months. And again, the quick synopsis on this is floodplain permitting and items will go to the county area plan director, which is what I used to do. So it's really nothing's changing other than this agreement was not in place prior, which is something that's important for both entities. And White County has this, or several counties and cities that have these agreements, and it's just a good thing to have when your community with floodplain or any kind of floodway. So this is a good move and good progress for the Delphi area plan in the city. So any questions on ordinance or resolution 2024-12, brother? No? Okay. All in favor of approving resolution 2024-12, a resolution of the Common Council, City of Delphi, Indiana, approving the interlocal agreement between the City of Delphi and Carroll County, Indiana concerning floodplain management, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. And please, before you leave, Julie has the document that we will sign, and then I will return that to the commissioners for their meeting next Monday. So. Yeah. All right, very good. Next item of business is going to be discussion for transfer of funds for the 4650 Street and Water Building. So You want me to touch this or you want to touch on it? Give us a quick synopsis. Okay. So at the start of the year, Julie and I researched several different things just to make sure that the loan that was already in place prior to us, make sure everything was good to use that loan. Julie made several phone calls, speaking with the SBOA, the DLGF, and throughout that process, invoices were still coming into the city for the building. So in an effort to keep this project moving, we had to get the invoices paid. That's just cut and dry to keep the progress moving along. So with that being said, we used a line item out of the general fund. Once it was decided that we will use the 4650 account, that money is now from that 4650 loan will replenish the accounts that was used to cover those invoices. Essentially that's what happened. We just did our homework before the loan was in place, and now we're using the actual 4650 account through Security Federal. So the money that was transferred, the first invoice, I believe, was the one that we did from rainy day. It was 313,000, I believe. Yeah, so that one we replenished back into that rainy day fund. So every other line item, you have your totals on your docket, will be replenished from the general fund line item that we did utilize to keep the payments and the invoices going. So that's the discussion for that. Julie, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, after talking to the SBOA several times this week, I spent a lot of time with them at the conference. And speaking to them, they called me again after I got home and just said that as long as we have an action plan in place for those funds that we used to be able to go back and look at those things, the SBOA won't hold it against any of us for using that. They are in agreement to use the 4650 fund as is, because it would cost the city way too much to try to find another funding source. And they just said, we're not gonna hold that against you as long as you have all documentation in place that they are in agreement with us, and that's for them plus their legal team. So they told us to move forward with it as is.
And you guys have seen the structure of how it was moved to the rainy day each line item, the total. So thank you for all your homework. Mary, you have anything to add on that?
I saw a different version of the resolution that you get.
Yeah, and that's the one I sent that to them too. So I didn't know if that's something with them saying that as long as we have an action item, if we need to, the way I understood, they said there's not a resolution that's required.
Yeah,
As long as it was discussed in a public meeting, there's an action plan, which the monies essentially went back into the accounts that was utilized. And that was so.
If the resolution, you have to let pass it tonight if you want to, you all want to, but the resolution will give you a paper trail. So you've got a piece of paper when the SBOA comes back to you.
Sure.
as their audit.
Yeah. So the resolution that we have in place or proposed, will that affect the resolution that we can do once a year for the 15% of your annual budget?
No, because good question. No, because this is just replenishing what you've drawn, sort of like a borrowing.
Okay, because that was my concern, was that that's now taking that big chunk out of what we can transfer from our fiscal budget.
No, it's a good question, but it's a different transaction. Do that 15%. When I asked them about the resolution, they said it absolutely wasn't necessary. It's a choice whether you would like to or not, just as you said, to cover. But they said it's not necessary, so that being said. Your attorney would be. Right, and that's what they said to do, was to ask you, so what you suggested, so.
Yep, and that's why we went ahead and printed them, but if this was a discussion point, we did print off the resolutions for the board if it was something we wanted to move on this evening.
That's.
So that's certainly, this is the same thing that you guys have been sent with the fancy language from Miriam and Amber. So, yep.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Yes,
Right there by
yes,
back.
yes.
Yep, this pays back anything and everything that was used to cover why we were researching the 4650 account. This is the total. I think, yeah, broke down on the bottom. What's that?
We had to pay those.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have said, no, let's don't pay him and the whole family.
it was to the point where they were pounding pretty hard for payment, and I understand that.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, every contractor and subcontractor needs payment, so we really didn't have a whole lot of options other than Julie was still due diligent on doing the research, and she did a great job with looking through it, and we drove each other crazy through it, but the building's, I think, what, 99% finished, maybe. So, yeah, it's good. Beautiful buildings. It's once we get everybody settled in, we'll have a public open house and showcase it a little bit. There's still some things that they need to get tidied up on their end and get things where they want it and all that. So once they give me the green light, we'll put it out to the public to show it off. But yeah, it's been
This is your copy that you drafted on.
so that's, yeah,
Like you were about 7 more words.
Okay.
yeah, I pulled one from last year, but then I asked her, should there be some additional, or just language, actually resolution language, and her and Amber came up with, which is,
Yeah.
that's a standard resolution for the transfer to rainy day, so.
That's what we need to do, a resolution to.
It's just a resolution of everything we just talked about, saying that we transferred the funds from,
The CYA.
to cover and then the rainy day fund, which is on the bottom, a separate one of 313,661. So it broke it down.
Puts the money back where.
Yep, correct. Yep.
A couple things.
Correct. Which happened in June. Yep. So this is essentially what's been done. The rainy day went in June, I believe June 17th. Yep. So this covers everything that was done during that time to replenish those funds. So and I believe this template for the resolution, that's a template that's off the state website. Yeah. So there's no additional language that we added to it. It's just standard language for a resolution. So. All right. With that being said, we'll go ahead and get a motion out of the way so we can do is there a motion to approve resolution 2024-13, a resolution to transfer appropriations?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion on the transfer of funds? No. Nope. All right. Hear none. All in favor of approving resolution 2024-13, resolution requesting transfer of funds, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. All right. Thank you, guys. All right, future business. For those of you that were not here for the Board of Works, the Lions Club, Mr. Bradshaw left. Yeah. So the Lions Club is, once again, the 30th year, I believe you said, will be hosting the 4th of July parade this coming Saturday. Same parade route. 10 o'clock start time down at, if you want to enter, you don't have to pay. Just show up at the Old Glow Valve or Peters and Remington where they start and get registered. And again, that's this coming Saturday. The route's the same, other than when they get to the end, instead of staring off on Union and Indiana, they're going to continue to Wilson. So it's going to be a very busy Saturday for the city. We have a softball tournament at Abbey Libby. We have the Little League is hosting the district championship at Paul Goyer. We have the 4th of July parade. We have Canal Days. We have a lot going on. So that's exciting. Yeah. So busy little city. So.
You're saying parking might be an issue.
I don't, did you just say the P word, Doyle? Let's see. Other than that, you guys were all here for Officer Wilson's returning. Yeah, it's other than that, we have been very busy with all the projects. And again, as I say every month, thank you to Julie and her staff. The department heads, I reach out to them every day. Aaron, Craig, Dick, Ed, JT, Chief Lamar. Every day I'm coordinating something with them or trying to get something scheduled or whatever. So they have done a great job of kind of helping us through our first 6 months, which I can't believe it's already July. But so thank all of you guys for being here tonight and give us a quick report and for putting up with me for the first 6 months, which you probably bang your head on the wall sometimes, but we're weeding through the busy schedule. So other than that, I think that's all on my things. All right, any board comments or requests?
I'm gonna say the P word.
Say it.
I know you don't want to hear it,
Yeah, that's
so I'm gonna say it. So last month I brought up my concern around Union Street specifically. Basically because of my own personal business. So I gave it the whole month. I documented photos multiple times a day, every single day, down Franklin Street, down Union Street. And on any given day, at any given time, there were anywhere between 5 to 15 open parking spots on Union Street. And residential parking down Franklin Street was always jam-packed. Maybe one spot here or there. I would like to propose visiting a conversation around either changing hourly to 3-hour or changing it to no hourly parking. I don't understand how it makes sense to back up residential parking. I think of Doris and Dwayne. What's their last name? They live right by Tom Atkinson. I think of the people that live, Braun Burkhalter. I think of the Brustles. They're right there on Franklin. And if they don't have great parking and like for their home, so they park on the street. So if they leave and then my clients or any other clients are trying to park on Franklin and they come home, especially with Doris and Dwayne being older, they lose their parking. And I don't think it's fair to have a whole street of Franklin completely backed up when all of Union is completely open. I'm speaking of it from a councilwoman. I'm also speaking of it from someone who, if that was my home, that would frustrate me, and also a business owner. I have had multiple clients that have parked all the way past Indiana Street. I've talked to Nate about it. He's been gracious and amazing, and I've appreciated his support in it. The thing about it is it doesn't make sense if I'm speaking solely on behalf of Artemis and my personal business, that my clients have to park a block away or more, but stare at an empty street all day long when they're paying $300+ to get their hair done. It just doesn't make sense to me. I would understand monitoring the street for parking if there was constant like cars there that needed to kind of flow in and out. But I'm telling you, after a month of watching, there's maybe 1 or 2 days a week during lunchtime that it's busy. Outside of that, I promise you, I count 5 to 15 easy every single day, although it makes no sense. So we need to either change it and take it away, because here's the thing also. When we were not monitoring it, Tina from Stonehouse was parking right in front of my salon every single day. The people from Jeff Riders were parking right on Union Street every single day. And we never had, my clients never had a problem. They still always could park on Union Street. And sometimes they would park on Franklin, and that was okay. Like, that was not a big deal because it was like right around the corner. But now that Franklin is completely jacked up at 9 a.m. I mean, Aaron Lyons saw me in the street this morning taking pictures. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, it's 8:45. And Franklin was backed all the way up. So my point is I don't think it's fair to the residents, number one. And it's definitely not fair to patrons of our community to not be able to park in front of the businesses that they're visiting. And from a business owner, I don't want it to look like my business isn't busy because no one can park in front of my business. And also from a hairdresser point of view, I'm gonna blow out someone's hair for $300 and then it's raining outside and they gotta walk a block and a half away, but they're staring at literally 10 spaces right in front of my door. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make it, there's no common sense to it. So we either need to remove it or adjust it to 3 hours if we really want to keep the employees from parking on it. But before we started enforcing it, it wasn't a problem.
Are you saying just Union?
I'm saying specifically
Just-
Union. Now, I did talk to some of the business owners on Washington about it, and they're frustrated a little bit as well. Again, they have clients that are there over 2 hours, so they're experiencing some of it. I did ask them to come. They didn't, so I mean, I can tell you they're frustrated, but at the same time, I'm telling you, I'm speaking with like my councilwoman hat on and I'm speaking with my business owner hat on. So
I hear frustrations from both sides. I hear frustration of why aren't you taking actions to fix the city of Delphi's parking problem that's been here for multiple years? So yeah, I get it from
and I do too.
from both sides. And I understand the trick is, how do you find that perfect equation that can solve every problem, which is going to be a challenge for any small community. But yeah, we get a lot of people that say, you know, why aren't you doing anything? And then we start doing things, and then the same people say you're doing too much. And so it's a double-edged sword, and we've tried different things. You know, we're trying to enforce it to keep the traffic moving, to spots open for, you know, there were spots that were people in front of businesses at one time that essentially a car could stay there for a week, 2 weeks, and business owners are like, hey, what's going on? Why can't we do something to get a 2-hour parking, which happened several years ago? So I completely get it. And the goal is not to jeopardize or hurt anyone's business with the parking restrictions. All it's to something that just kind of wasn't enforced before. And at the October, when we have a trial, we're going to occur a lot of traffic that's, we don't know if it's 10,000 people or 5,000 people, but it's going to be a city full of additional traffic that we had to keep moving. And the protection of our businesses was the focus of someone not parking in a spot for a 2-hour parking for 5 hours or 8 hours for the duration of the trial that day. So it's been a work in progress, and we get good feedback, and then we get the concerns, which we appreciate, like yours. And so I'll let you guys discuss that part of it.
So on that, and just from being in town and like driving around and whatnot, I believe just in general also that I can understand around the courthouse square because of the volume of employees and the businesses that are on Washington opposite of, or I'm sorry, on Main, going up and down on, I'm not sure what side of the street that is, but brick and mortar side. You know, there's all those businesses, and then you have all the businesses on Washington and on Franklin, right? So I understand there's a far more volume of businesses, especially businesses that people are gonna go in and out of, from lunches to like just visiting, whatever, Rock Shop, Urban Chic. To me, these are businesses that people visit and they're in maybe for 15, 20, 30 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, right? Because usually you're not gonna have lunch for over 2 hours. But when you look at Union Street in particular, you have the law offices, which I stare at with my giant big open window all day long. And people are, if they're there for 5 minutes and then they're out. They're dropping off paperwork and then they're leaving. There's no one hanging out at Abby Diener's office or Jeff Ryder's office. You don't see people hanging there. We now have the holistic wellness space next to me. I'm sure they have people there that are there for a amount of time. I'm not really sure, but I can tell you my business, which is the one business on there that I'm telling you, 95% of my business is there for over 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours max. So you're just drive down the street any time of day. It's very rare that you're not gonna find parking, but I guarantee you, my clients aren't parked there. They're not parked there. And it's not fair. It's not fair. I think my client should be able to park in front of my business, and I could ask for special treatment, let me put a window decal in, fine, we can do all
It's
that.
not the saying they can't park there. They just got parked there for 2 hours. So we're not eliminating
They
parking in
have
front of
to
your
park there
business.
for 2 hours if they've got highlights in their hair.
Right.
Now you gotta go move your car.
But we're not saying they can't park there. We're just saying you can park there.
They
So
cannot park there though, when 95% of my business is over 2 hours, so they cannot park there. That's just the fact. They can't park there because they're not there for 2 hours. They're there for 2.5 or 3. And when that 2-hour mark is up, they've got highlights in their hair that need to be washed out, or they're literally getting their hair washed or blown out. And then they're watching officers mark their vehicles when there's literally 10 cars parked on the street. And to me, that also doesn't make sense. I understand marking, I understand it's an enforcement, it's an ordinance, but when there's 10 cars on the street with 15 parking spots available. Why are we concerning ourselves with marking tires?
Because we're doing everything. Chief
I
Mario, want to speak on
understand
that?
I understand the ordinance, but the fact still remains that I don't think it makes sense. So I'm not here to argue with the ordinance at all. I'm not here to argue with the ordinance. I understand the ordinance. I understand what we're doing. Clearly understand it. My point is, we should either get rid of it because it does not make sense on Union Street. I've got the photos daily to show it. Or we need to change it, period. Because it doesn't make sense to ruin residential parking on Franklin Street for the people that live there. It doesn't. Those people on that street shouldn't have to fight for parking. They shouldn't. They should not.
I'll start with the street parking on Franklin. If they either purchased or leased those houses. Parking, I assume, was something they had to take into account. Just because the residents have street parking doesn't mean that it belongs to that resident.
Understand.
So you buy a house knowing that people can park on the street in front of your house. That's just kind of the way that is. It's not perfect. That's the way it is. As far as marking tires, if it's the council controls parking. We have 2-hour parking ordinance, we have 2-hour parking signs. If we tell our officers to go out and enforce it, they're gonna go out and enforce it, they're gonna mark tires. If they don't mark tires on Councilwoman Jubrill's street, I'm gonna hear about it. Regardless of how many cars are there, we're gonna, whatever street that we say that we're enforcing, we're gonna enforce it. If there's one car, we don't mark that one car is gonna be there for 9 hours, and we're gonna hear about it. So we're gonna mark tires, whether there's 1 car, 10 cars, whatever, unless the council chooses to make that change. Just some food for thought. I would caution you in I've talked with business owners literally daily about this. Paige Beamer at Broadway has brought up that the half block on Union, that is no time limit.
Yeah.
That it's nearly impossible to get a spot.
You cannot.
Because those
Canal
are all
Commons.
tenants from the apartments.
Mhm.
So if
Oh,
you make
yeah.
the rest of that street no time limit, which is totally fine.
Which has been the case
You guys
though.
want-
I'm telling you,
guys
it's
want
not been a problem.
Superintendent- You guys want Superintendent Lyons to take all the 2-hour parking signs down tomorrow, go for it. But I can tell you that if you make that no time limit there's residents for that apartment building that are looking for parking. And when you have somebody parking in front of your business for 3 days, we're gonna have a little bit of an issue probably. So, we're happy to do
I mean,
whatever
park
we
there.
can do with the council's direction.
Well, so let me,
We
so
don't regulate parking, so if you don't want it enforced, I would just ask that we take the signs.
okay, cool. So, and on that, because for sure, here's the deal. Up until last month, Friday before our last month's meeting, nothing was enforced, right? So as of 1 month ago, nothing was ever enforced, right? Which means those people that lived in those apartments could park there, and they did. We literally I never had a problem. I instructed my employees from the moment I've been open in business, 5 years. I've told my employees, we do not park on Union Street, we park on Franklin. And my employees, because of the way our schedules work, there's usually only 3 to maybe 5 employees at max working at my business at any time. And it's all shifted hours. So we're never taken up, we're literally usually just on Franklin heading, what would that be? Going towards Indiana Street, heading east. So we don't need to go on the other side now because of Ryder and Diener and Stonehouse. They're all parking there already. Specifically with Stonehouse, they're so early, it's so packed up that it's going further. And I've talked to Nate, Nate's like, well, if your employees would park where you park, because I've been parking often on Indiana in front of my parents' house. He's like, then we wouldn't have that problem. Well, I don't agree with that. My employees shouldn't have to park on Indiana Street. I've been open for 5 years of business. We've been able to park on Franklin Street, and clients could still park on Franklin Street if there was not available parking on Union during specifically lunch hour. And this is with Stonehouse employees and Ryder's employees specifically parking on Union, and Canal apartment people parking there too. And clients could still park there, and if they couldn't, they could easily park literally in that first spot as soon as you turn right onto Franklin off of Union, with no question, ease. So to me, I feel like we're creating a challenge for my guests, and it's frustrating. And I understand when it comes to the trial, it's going to be a problem. If we take no parking, if we just take the parking away, right? No enforcement at all. I understand it's a problem. A part of me says keep some enforcement because it also keeps some of the employees off of it. But honestly, the employees are the ones that are backing up Franklin the most, the employees of those businesses right there. But it doesn't make sense to keep Union Street empty. I'm just saying to everyone, take the next couple days and drive Union Street randomly. It's empty. You walk it, like it's very rare that it's packed. A couple times a week at lunchtime, it's busy. But outside of that, there's always anywhere from at least 5, and especially not during lunch hour, 15 parking spots available. And it's just absolutely absurd and ludicrous that people that are visiting my business can't park in front of my business. That's all I'm saying. So I would like to address it because it's not working.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
Okay, so it appears what Chief Morris is, and I agree with the fact that if you took it clear away, that's a wide open mess. Anybody can park there and just leave the damn car there all day.
And there's no way to enforce
As a
it.
city,
right?
we're trying to promote business here. We want to make our business friendly town. It seems like at this point, with what you've said, now, how many people clients do you have at a time?
At a time or during a day?
No, at a time. 'Cause
Well, it just
you're-
depends on the day. So like Tuesday, Wednesdays and Thursdays are our busiest. So we can have anywhere from 4 to 8 clients at a
Figure out
time.
How many parking spots you're talking?
Right, so we can have anywhere from, at our busiest, we could have 8 clients in there at a time, probably. But that's probably gonna be 20% of the time. We're gonna have most daily, 4 to 5.
So
Max?
Are you saying? If the issue here is time, and the customer comes in, it's gonna take more than 2 hours. It's because of the type of business you're in. Seems like maybe if it was 3 hours, that would pretty much cover most all of your clients.
Mhm.
But where all would that 3-hour parking need to be? Would it be just in front of your building? Or is it across the street, 2-hour parking?
I see what
also?
you're saying, right? I mean,
That's what
I would almost have to say you'd have to make the entire street 3 hours.
That's
Yeah,
what I
you
feel.
could. do
Otherwise,
one
because
side or
it's
the
just
other,
gonna
because
pull up in
the
front of her for 3 hours anyway,
yeah,
and then they'll leave the
Oh,
car.
That's what I'm
right,
asking. So
exactly.
it's just a time frame.
Yeah.
And how much problem is it to just increase the time frame?
and then that limits, so then that also puts a limit on employees parking there all day, canal apartment, home, like people that live there. Also, when it comes to the trial, it creates a way for law enforcement to enforce that.
What if? Leave it like it is. And you make a permit to purchase.
So one of the,
You either do or your customers buy a permit. But they won't get.
well, I have kind of bounced around that conversation.
Rather than change all the rules, if we made available.
Someone had said
you want your
something,
Customers to buy a permit.
a customer had made a suggestion in conversation, and I don't know if this is something that is plausible, like we could actually do. But where, let's say you're a service-based business, actually any business could potentially come to the city and petition, ask for some sort of validation. And you have to prove to the city as to why they need it, right? So you can't just be like, hey, I need this validation because I want it for my employees, right? You have to say, here's why we need it, and maybe you get so many. That was like an alternative possible,
employees or
not employees, it would be for patrons of the business. Not for employees to be able to park on the street all day. This was specifically just to allow for the street signs and the 2-hour parking to stay the same, but to give grace to those people that are coming in and doing business in our community. Specifically to, I'm telling you, there's 4 hair salons on Washington Street, and there's 1 on Union. That's 5 hair salons in the business district that I promise you, all of them have clients that regularly are doing business for over 2 hours. And if those 5 businesses said, oh, that's a possibility, I guarantee you, all of them would come to the city and petition for so many window clings or rear view mirror hangs or something to basically say patron of Artemis. And then it just and maybe that's an option. I don't know. I'm up for that.
But it could only be.
But you would have to go, I think you would have to go to the city specifically as a business and ask for it though.
Could only be recognized between hours of 8 and
You have to designate that certain area for that too, otherwise they could put that in their
Well-
car and park.
Well, the thing is as a business though, you know, you have 5, right? Let's say I have 5. Now, I know I have 5 of those. I got 5. That person parks in front. They know they come in, they give it, and when they leave, they have to bring it back
So
in.
you're saying a lot of amount per business.
Yeah, you would, the business would have to ask for how many they think that they would need. I would probably ask for 5. I would say, can I get 5? And then I knew I'd have 5 and that would process through. It would also open up a little bit more space on Franklin. So even if all parking was taken, it would free up a little bit more. And that's kind of normal how always has been.
you mean to rotate?
Yeah, because no one's gonna be like, I'm not gonna have. Typically, there's only gonna be maybe 2, like everyone's kind of staggered in their timing. So yeah, it would work. Yeah.
They do something like that in Chicago, where my son lived, but you had to buy, you purchased the permits off of the city. And you pay so much for them, and it's good for a certain period of time,
Mhm.
and then at the end of that, the ticket's gone, you get another.
Right. It's something to consider.
That's what they did. in
Mhm.
Chicago.
I just want a solution. That's all I'm asking.
That's what we're all
Yeah.
wanting and working towards, but that's a challenge every direction, but we're still continuing to work on it, so. Nate.
I'm just thinking a quick suggestion on that, it might be a little less clunky if. Your clients just gave you the parking ticket. You had their invoice, their check-in, check-out time and brought it to the city, you had it validated that way, otherwise. Somebody's not gonna put the permit on their mirror, they're gonna put it on backwards or that, you're gonna lose them.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I feel like
You can tell people to do it one way and they're still gonna do it.
if the tickets are issued and whether it's the clerk's office that avoids them with whatever documentation you need.
Okay.
Or whatever, and we want to point out, we're only doing 2 streets, like we're doing the best we can to make this as painless as possible.
Mhm.
We didn't just drop the hammer and say, we're gonna do the whole city and. This is happening now, like we're trying to baby step this, so.
Yeah.
Anything that the council has for us on that, we're all ears.
Well, I know in the past, we used to have a meter made. You paid for however many minutes you want to park.
That's been brought up too.
Well, there's
Amy.
apps
Now
for
they
that
have,
now.
you go to big cities, you're
They're apps.
gonna be there so long,
Mhm.
the business owner could say, here's pass or whatever for X amount of dollars. The cost would be in putting that stuff in. There's a lot of maintenance involved, run back and forth, or if they do it all electronically, I don't know, but you go to Indy, you park, you swipe your card. And
Yeah,
go.
then they work great and there's software that goes with it and. Yeah, so the upfront cost, I looked at a few vendors, I'm like, oh. Yeah, just getting them installed and. Yeah, they're proud of them for obvious reasons, but yeah. Okay. So. Any further discussion from the board? Clerk Treasurer Price.
Okay, so I just wanted to let everybody know preliminary dates for, budget dates, the hearing date. We have a preliminary date set for September 3rd at 6 p.m. And then the adoption meeting date preliminary is October 7th at 6 p.m. So those were submitted in the pre-budget form to the gateway. So,
That's all 6 PM you said?
yes. So those are the dates.
What was the October?
7th.
September 3rd is the hearing date. And the adoption meeting date is October 7th.
And that's subject to change, correct?
Yes, those are subject to change. Those
This-
are just preliminary dates. We had to give them preliminary dates that could be set and submitted. Because there was a deadline for the preliminary budget.
We set a budget workshop date, so we can go over the budget. We need to do that. Because that's gonna come up quick. And I believe
That's August.
last time we did it at the end of July.
Well,
What we were
that's-
doing.
I didn't see anything in the
Well,
meeting
this
minutes.
month.
This.
Yeah.
I've got.
Yeah, I was pretty sure we started that
For,
Budget.
workshop, budget workshop.
yeah, we're starting to get stuff funneled in from the state now and the AIM and all that, so.
I will be out of town in July.
Anna, Polly, Anna.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, she's got, yes, yes. was looking at the calendar for that, so we'll need to pick up.
Yep.
Dates.
I already have dates that I'm not here, if that is useful. And End of July,
I'll look at
August.
the calendar again tomorrow and then I'll send like the dates.
The last week of-
That works for. You don't have everybody go to that. No, just whoever wants to, okay. Just assume it. I know what works for me, but. As far as anyone that wants to go, that's just certain.
Specific time to go to that.
She said it, like, I have a calendar, she has dates and time and stuff, so I can send those out and you guys can decide. Other than that, I think the only other thing was the map thing that I brought up for the golf carts, which you already mentioned.
Okay. All right, public comments.
Yes, Mayor, Council 2-1 Thursday at 7 PM, Delphi Main Street. It's hosting the fireworks course. So it'll be out at the high school, 7 PM. Blue Moose will be there. Got a great venue planned, so out in the parking lot, fireworks Thursday, 4 to 7 PM. So the second item is, since our last meeting we held announcing, again, the rain barrel, we had several picked up, and again, someone that wants rain barrel, the hope would be that maybe if we get rid of a few more, it'll bring the rain. But no, we do still have some rain barrels available, so you can email rain barrel, all one word, at cityofdelphi.org, or call the city building, they let me know, and get the rain barrel delivered. Thank you.
Okay,
Do you know about approximately how many you have left? Just in case somebody were to call.
Probably about 10.
but we could go back to Marcel and get more, correct?
We absolutely can.
Yeah, they got a
Make
pile
phone
of them.
call and coordinate, get in truck and trailer and get some more. Yes, we can do that.
Aaron's like, no.
Thank you.